Coming to you live from the shadow of the big house, it's IT4U. Tips and tricks on ITS tools, products, services, and more with your host, Jean Mackey. Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome to IT4U. And gosh, it'd be good if I get to the beginning of my PowerPoint. These are interactive webinars brought to you by ITS, demos and tips. If you're having any audio or video problems during the live webinar, tell us in the chat pod. And when you're watching the YouTube version of this, we will have a Google Doc link with the live links. Here's some links if you want to participate live. What's coming up? Well, our next one is at the bottom. It's using R with Tableau, but I suspect that most of you are more interested in what we have on the 25th of February, which is a little thing on Google Drive. And here's a link where you can register in my link. If you need an accommodation to participate in our live episode, let us know, and that's what's happening today. We had a request for an accommodation, so Sue Deer Hall is captioning for us. And what we have today is Mike Stork coming out from behind the camera to present on Google Hangouts and Blue Jeans. But first, I want to bring up a poll. If I can get it to work. Yeah, let us know. What's your experience with video conferencing? You hosted, participated, watched a recording, all that apply. Yeah, so, wow, some of you have hosted. Cool. All right, thank you for that. And I'm going to turn it over to our presenter, Mike Stork.
Hi everyone, thank you Jean. Again, I'm Mike Stork, and here I am in front of the camera to show you some things about Google Hangouts and Blue Jeans. So let me get to the beginning of my slides too and present. And I want to remind you to ask questions at any time, and we have Adam Rame here helping out, and Jean's going to field the questions. So here we go. Google Hangouts and Blue Jeans. Which one to use? I have a couple documents I'm going to refer to that are going to help you figure that out. We went through the poll, and it seemed like a lot of you have done more of the advanced, even hosted some webinars, so that's good. So we'll have some information for you, and a lot of the information today is a very beginner level, so bear with us. Our focus today for Google Plus Hangouts is how to start one, and it's very easy because you start from your chat. We're going to go through settings, screen sharing, inviting participants, and then connecting to the calendar. For Blue Jeans, very similar topics. Create an account with your U of M login though. We're going to create a meeting, and I'm going to show you how to create a repeating or recurring meeting. We're going to change the settings, and I'm going to show you how to record. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end to compare. Jean did share my slides, so there are some links that you can't click live in this episode, but in the chat pod, feel free to open my slides and follow along with the links to the left. So what is a Hangout? It can be a private conversation, a chat or video. It's an online meeting. There's up to 15 connections, so 14 other people can be in your Hangout. And a couple things out of scope. We're not going to go into the on-air features, which is a broadcast to the world and recording via YouTube. So hold the questions for the more advanced features, and we can answer them offline. What do you need? You need a modern browser. Chrome, Firefox, or Safari are good examples. You need a webcam, a microphone, and a computer, of course. You also need a Google Plus account. So we have a screenshot here of a Google Plus account, and if you don't have a Google Plus account, you can click this URL for support in order to create one. Jean, do we have a question?
Claire wants to know, how do Google Hangouts and Blue Jeans differ from Adobe Connect? And the answer to that is Adobe Connect would cost you.
That's right. So, Claire, thank you for the question. How do they differ from Adobe Connect? Adobe Connect costs money. So ITS has paid for a service for ITS-sponsored events, and that's what you're in right now. So we're talking today about what's available to you for no cost, which through our Google agreement you have Hangouts, and Blue Jeans, the cost has been paid by the CIO for 2 years. So excellent question. Keep them coming in. Adobe Connect's a great tool, but you need to get permission to use it or pay for it. So back to Google Hangouts. You need a Google Plus account. You probably already have one. If you have Gmail or Google Calendar, you can activate your Google Plus account. If you're in the hospital or med school, you have a workaround where you could create a Google Plus account, and we could take some of that offline too if you have questions about that. You also need an internet connection, and a wired connection is preferred, even though wireless is really stable around campus. When it comes to the very important stuff, it could drop on you, so try to get a wired connection. So a Hangout could be a conversation. You could work on a document. You could play a YouTube video from within a Hangout. But the biggest thing I want to show today is how quick and easy it is to start up a group video chat. So I'm going to jump out of my slides here, and I have my email open. And notice the chat on the right side. So Google changed it from chat to be called a Hangout. So if you upgrade to the new chat, which is Hangouts, you'll see it on the right instead of the lower left. And some of you may still have the old version, and eventually they're phasing that out. So I would recommend everyone go ahead and upgrade to Hangouts or the new chat, and then you'll have the features that I'm going to go through today. So I have down here, if I were to click a chat with somebody, so let me just go ahead and go through the motions of finding Jean, and then it pops up here in my chat, and notice that I have a camera icon, and if I click that, I can initiate a Hangout. And bear with me because we're going to have multiple camera images here just for the test. But notice that it opened a Hangout video chat from my email screen, which is chat. So let me know if you have any questions about that. But now I'm in a Hangout, and you see that Jean's not joined yet, which is fine because I just want to show you some of the tools within the Hangout. Notice that we have a settings gear at the top, and if you're not seeing this toolbar, you need to just hover over the top middle of your screen. When I click settings, I'm going to have drop downs for my camera, my microphone, and my speakers. Notice that I have a visual representation next to the microphone, so I know it's working. If you're not seeing lights next to it, that means it's not working. So you may want to come in here and select that rather than have it be default, or you may need to exit and re-enter and maybe put a for help ticket in and work with your desktop support with drivers, because every time that we connect via a Hangout or any of these tools, we're using the hardware on our computer, we're using software, and we're using drivers to make all of this work. So I only have one camera connected, so I don't have to worry about changing that. And the speakers are on default, which we also recommend as a best practice for everyone to use earbuds or headphones to get the best experience, because while it will work with your computer speakers and your computer microphone, you're setting yourself up for what's called a feedback loop or echo. And the best way to solve that is to have everyone on the video call use earbuds or headphones. So let me know if you have any questions about settings. Over here to the left is also a toolbar, and I'm going to only talk about screen sharing today, but if I hit screen sharing, I can share my screen, and it's going to ask me an entire screen or certain windows, and I can select either one of those, and it's just that easy. Sometimes it takes a second to install what they call an app, so you may have to click it. It'll take a second, and then it'll install. But once you've installed that app, it tends to screen share very easily. So this is a great way to have a quick video conversation with one of your colleagues, share your screen within the Hangout, and you can get a lot of work done right from your desk. And not only from your desk, you can use some of these functions on handheld devices too. Obviously your screen's going to be smaller and you may have less functions, but handheld devices do work with Google Hangouts and BlueJeans. Coming back to the middle toolbar at the top, you can adjust bandwidth. So I'm going to select this, and notice I have mine on low, so you start out with it all the way up. And if you're experiencing your audio and video out of sync, so maybe the audio is ahead of the video, it can be very distracting, you need to step the quality down, and it tends to fix that. And you see it actually zoomed in a little bit. So. And you may want to talk to your colleagues online if you're having transmission issues to adjust the bandwidth. And you can see I'm at low right now, and it's still a very usable video quality. So those are the basics for Hangouts. I'm also going to invite, so Jean wasn't available, which is fine for our test today. If I wanted to invite more people or invite her again, I can click this icon of the person and the plus, and you can type somebody's name here, and since she's in my circles, it found her fairly quickly. So I could select it like this, or my best practice is up here, the URL, I could just copy that URL at the top there, and I'm going to close out of this and come back to my email, and just through the regular chat I could paste that URL in, and this is the fastest, most surefire way to get that URL to somebody for an invite. While the Google invites work, sometimes it takes a while or people don't get the invite through this, especially if you're inviting somebody from outside of our university, right? So I'm just going to copy this URL at the top of whatever Hangout you're in and go back, and I could email that to somebody or I could paste it in a traditional chat. So let me know if you have any questions about that. Lastly, I'm going to go back to my Hangout, and notice when I'm clicking around here that sometimes the Hangout is hidden behind my other windows. That tends to happen too. So be aware that the Hangout could be open and behind your other windows. Something you can't see here also is that there's on this Mac that I'm on, it has a light next to the camera eye, and the light came on when I entered the Hangout, so I know that it is active. So a lot of laptops have a visual representation to know that your camera is on. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how to exit the Hangout. So I can either click Leave Call here, or I could just close the browser window. And when I did that, the light on my camera went off, so I knew that I'm no longer broadcasting my audio or video. And here I am back at my email. So notice I do have my plus Michael, so this is my Gmail. My Google Plus account was activated, but I don't have to go into Google Plus because I have the new Hangouts or new chat over here. So it's just as easy as opening up a chat with someone and clicking the video icon. So let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm going to jump back to my slides and just verify that I've told you all the information I hope to convey today. So here's a screenshot, by the way, of what Jean would have seen when I sent her an invite within the chat. She should have gotten this chat popping up asking to answer or decline. If she didn't receive that, I showed you a workaround where I just pasted that long URL in there and I sent it the old-fashioned way, if you will. Here's a screenshot of what Jean would have seen from her end before she entered. So her camera and microphone are going to turn on and let her know that it's working before she joins, which is a nice feature, so you can adjust the height. Maybe you have to fix your hair. Remember that you're in your pajamas because you can do this from anywhere. And that's a good segue too. So you can use these tools and you can deselect your camera. So this icon at the top, just deselect your camera and the picture that you have on your Google Plus site will populate instead. So nobody will have to know that you're working from home. You know, you can still get a lot of work done. Okay, so we went through the easiest way to join is through the chat. If you have a lot of people in your Hangout, you can click their picture, and it's called blue boxing, so that you can see the person you want to see from your end. That's just a nice little helpful hint. It will automatically switch to who's ever talking, but sometimes somebody might be rattling some papers or typing loudly or sneezing, and you may want to click somebody else's image just so it's a little more stable. I showed you how to invite new participants within the Hangout, and again, the best foolproof way is to copy that URL and email it or share it via chat. You can mute your camera and audio with those icons at the top. You can collaboratively edit. This is an example. I would recommend you use Google Drive to work on a document outside of the Hangout, even though you can click an icon within the Hangout. Use Google Drive the way that you already are collaboratively editing on a document. And I showed you how to screen share. So that's it for Hangouts. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to charge forward into Blue Jeans, but you can ask questions about either of these tools throughout the broadcast. Really quickly, accessibility. Hangouts does include an option for providing simultaneous sign language interpretation during sessions, and if you need more information about that, you can contact us or Jane Vincent with accessibility issues. So Blue Jeans. Blue Jeans is a tool that's a lot like Hangouts. It's a conversation or broadcast. The biggest difference is you can have up to 100 participants, so 99 other people can be in your online session, where I told you earlier that a regular Hangout has 14 others. So that may be the number one reason why you know that your meeting is going to have more than 14 people, so maybe you need to use Blue Jeans. I'm going to show you how to adjust your settings. I'm going to show you the screen share function and the recording function of Blue Jeans. So that's a big difference too, because a regular Hangout cannot be recorded. A regular Blue Jeans session can be recorded. So we'll get into that. And a use case is an online drop-in session. You could hold like an hour on Thursday morning to have people pop in and ask you questions about anything that you're dealing with. Question, Jean?
I'm just clarifying that you can record Hangouts, but it requires some setup.
Thank you. Jean's clarifying that you can record Hangouts, but you need to be more advanced into the on-air broadcast features where you have to set up a YouTube account. So to be clear, you can record your Hangout, but you can't record the Hangout the way I just showed you. So you can't start a Hangout from your chat and expect to record it. You need to go into a more advanced setup and create an on-air Hangout.
Which is
Thank
out
you.
of scope for
Which
today.
is out of scope for today's lesson. But obviously, you can send your questions offline, and we'd be happy to answer them if you want more advanced features. Back to Blue Jeans. I'm going to show you a demo, but I really want you to know that you have to allow the plugin for Blue Jeans. So Hangouts used to require a Google Talk plugin. Now they are installing that when you accept periods. So technically you don't need a plugin or additional software for your Hangout. With Blue Jeans you do need a plugin, and this is normal for most web conferencing or video conferencing tools. There's using a plugin. Well, browsers tend to block those plugins. You know, we have the settings so we can block all those annoying pop-ups. Well, you need to allow this. So here's a screenshot of how to allow it, and you may need to go into your browser to unblock pop-ups. All right, so we're going to create a login for Blue Jeans with our U of M login, and I'm going to go ahead and jump out of my slides and show you how to do that. I have an incognito window open, and I'm actually going to show you the screen. So you may want to copy this URL into your favorites. So it's umish.bluejeans.com, and this is going to take you to the umish instance of Blue Jeans. We don't want to go to Blue Jeans corporate because you need the umish.bluejeans.com to get our environment. I already have a login, so I can just click login. If you were at this screen and you didn't have a login yet, it would prompt you to create a Blue Jeans login from your umish login. We'll get into the hospital and medical school, and students do not have a login. So all staff and faculty are covered under the Blue Jeans license, but we'll get into the exceptions later. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Here's the login. I'm going to click login. I'm going to type in my password live and hope it works. And it's taking me to my Blue Jeans home screen. You can see that my name is in the upper right, and I have schedule a meeting or start an instant meeting. If you start an instant meeting, it will then just start a meeting. I'm going to show you how to schedule a meeting because I believe this is the best way to have meetings recurring. And if you notice in the middle here, these are all the meetings I've already created. Today we're going to schedule a meeting from scratch. The meeting needs a title, and obviously the time and date. I want, as a best practice, to show you how to make every meeting repeating. So why, even if you know you don't need a repeating meeting, I suggest that you do create a repeating meeting, because if you start an instant meeting or just schedule a meeting for one time, you can't go back in there and use that. So if you had a monthly meeting in January, come February, you're going to have to send a new URL, and we don't want people clicking on that old instance because they'll get an invalid meeting request. So my best practice is create a repeating meeting. Even if it's not repeating, you can always go in here and edit this later. I made it monthly just so I don't have a lot of alerts. And notice I scroll down for more options. There's advanced meeting options here. I'm going to open that. And the one setting I want you to also be aware of is the moderator-less meeting. So I'd like everyone to click this, and then you can make it your default settings, so you only really have to do this once.
And why are we doing that?
The moderator-less meeting, it allows people to enter your meeting before you did. So if I'm scheduling a meeting a couple weeks from now, people might want to click on that URL and see if the plugin works, see if their camera and audio work. When the meeting actually comes, they probably want to enter a few minutes before. And if you don't have it be moderator-less, you as the moderator must be in there first, or they're going to be in a waiting page where it says the moderator has not entered the meeting. So click that as a best practice, make it the default setting, and then schedule that meeting. And notice here now I have another meeting populated on my home page. I'm going to click on that. Copy meeting details to clipboard is the link right here. I'm going to click that. Go back to my other tab. This is my email here. And if I go to calendar, I could create an event in my Google Calendar and populate that information there. Now, you may ask, why did I do that and why didn't I just have BlueJeans do it? Well, BlueJeans doesn't connect directly to the Google Calendar the way that we'd like. So I'm showing you how to copy this information into a Google Calendar invite so you can reserve the conference rooms you need to and find the groups through Google that you need to do. Gene, we have a question?
Edward says there's no need to join the meeting early to test camera and mic use. Use bluejeans.com/111.
So, Edward, thank you for that. There is shortcuts for BlueJeans. You can test with a little parrot to test if your audio and video are working. And thank you for that. And if you want to test that way, you can do that. I'm going to step back to the calendar here because when I copied that information to the clipboard and then pasted it in my Google Calendar, it actually gives me too much information. So I'm going to delete the middle because really people just, if they're using their laptop or computer, they just need this URL. Another plus feature of BlueJeans is that you can attend via phone. So BlueJeans, when you create a room with this unique identifier, that's creating a telephone number too. So we don't have to reserve those conference telephone lines that are often unavailable. You can attend this BlueJeans meeting from a toll-free number. So if somebody's traveling, they could just listen and talk via their cell phone. They could use a conference telephone in a room if they just wanted to send their audio. That's a nice feature. This unique identifier I made it a repeat meeting, so this is always going to be available for people to reuse for this particular meeting. So let me know if you have any questions about creating a meeting in BlueJeans, copying that information over into Google Calendar or Google Email. Really quickly, you can see that BlueJeans sent me an invite, which it's fine, but I'm not able to utilize the Google Calendar features I need to if I use it like this. Question, Gene?
Tina wonders, will BlueJeans account be available for GSI for courses, host the meetings, and manage recordings? Thank you.
So BlueJeans currently isn't available for students, and I don't know, I'll have to take that offline for GSI, but faculty and staff are able to create accounts. One thing I could say is try it, but we're going to have to follow up with that because I don't know if GSI is considered a student or faculty. Another question, Gene?
You created the meeting in an incognito window. Is that necessary?
It's not necessary. I was trying to show you the login screen. So I could, I'm going to utilize, remember our URL, umish.bluejeans.com. And you see that it's going to take me to a similar login, but it's not the same. It has me already logged in. If I click meetings, I'll go to my home page. So once again, and this one, it's trying to prompt you to go right to a meeting. Click meetings in the upper right in order to go to your home page. Another question, Gene?
There's some discussion about GSIs, and then Edward says, do you find the Google Chrome browser extension handy for scheduling meetings in Google Calendar?
Excellent question. It's about the Google Chrome browser extension for BlueJeans, and I find that not helpful. It does the opposite of what I want it to do. So you can install a browser extension that would have add a BlueJeans meeting here, and you'd see a button. It seems like it's helpful, but basically you're going to then start an instant meeting, and you're not going to be able to reuse that. So part of the reason I'm doing this best practice is, for example, administrative assistants or people in your group creating meetings for other people or for groups. So that Chrome extension, if you want to use it, go ahead, but it's going to be an instant meeting, and you're not going to be able to reuse. You'll be able to reuse it because it's your meeting, but you won't be able to share it as I just did for a repeating meeting for a group. Let me know if that was clear. Another question, Jean?
Dwight says the Outlook plugin works well for Outlook users.
Right. So, Dwight, thank you for the comment. Outlook plugin works well. So I'm showing you, for the purpose of this demo, how to do it, a workaround. We're pasting it in manually in order to get some of the functions to work. Sometimes these extensions will also take you to the BlueJeans corporate page instead of our UMISH instance. So I'm going to go try to show you that just for the heck of it here. If I click BlueJeans, it's taking me to bluejeans.com. See, we don't want to go to their corporate instance because we have our UMISH instance. So umish.bluejeans.com is where we want to be, not bluejeans.com.
Let's make sure we get to record.
Yes, so I'm going to jump back to my slides. Thank you, Jean. Keep the questions coming. I'm going to actually go back to that meeting I created. So back to meetings. I created that test 70 meeting, and I'm going to start it. You see this in between screen. We're actually going to use our browser. A more advanced topic, you could connect BlueJeans via a room system. That's another win. Some of these conference rooms have equipment in them that you can connect with those cameras. For today's scope, we're going to just talk about a laptop or a computer connecting. I do want to send and receive my audio and video. I'm going to click that. You can see that it's working here in the right, and it's given me the URL that we had pasted in our calendar before we could copy it and share that to get people to join also. So now we are in a BlueJeans meeting. You can see my name over here, and I have the ability to pause my camera or audio. By the way, the light next to my camera on my laptop's on, so I know it's working. If I go to the gear icon in the lower right, I can adjust the settings. So notice we see a visual representation of audio, so I know my microphone's working. If I needed to, I could click the drop down and switch that to the built-in, which it's finding already, or if I had an external headset hooked up, we could select that from this view also. If I had a different camera, I could toggle to that. I'm using the speakers here, and once again, I recommend you plug in earbuds or headphones for the best experience, and have everyone else on the call do that also. So that's the settings, the gear icon in the lower right. Notice I do have a screen sharing button. If I click the screen share, it's going to give me an option to share my entire screen or windows. If I click the entire screen, notice that it's doing it, and for the demo we're kind of seeing a picture in a picture, but I would see the other participants' video up here in a little thumbnail, and I am sharing my screen right now. If I want to stop sharing the screen, I just click that again, and let me just go ahead and do this one more time. If I were sharing my screen, I would probably minimize this window, and I'd show them something else, and I'd be able to see my other participants in the thumbnail. Alright, so I'm going to pop back into BlueJeans here. Question, Jean?
Bob says, I installed Hangouts, but it does not show on the right of the email screen. How do I get that setting?
So you've installed Hangouts and you're not seeing anything over here yet, is that right? Are you? I can't see your screen, Bob, but basically you should be seeing Hangouts in groups to your right, and you can have options from your drop down of your Google Plus picture. So let me know if that is helpful. Back to Blue Jeans. I'm in this Blue Jeans session. I showed you how to share the screen. Notice we have a red button at the bottom. If I click that, I can start a recording. You have up to 5 hours of recording time. So as a best practice, we do record. You can record your meeting, and it can be over 5 hours, but you need to pull those recordings down before you start another one. Another question, Gene?
Dwight says, what's the status of the BAA being signed?
So I'll get to that, Dwight. We're going to talk about some of that at the end here. So if I start the recording, I click it, we can see that the recording is on. It will also do an audio thing. Meeting is recording. And we know that with the duration down here, when we want to stop the recording, we click that button again. It asks you if you want to stop it. And there, it stopped. So we're in our Blue Jeans meeting. We learned how to share the URL. We learned how to create it and share it via another calendar like Outlook or Google. We know how to pause our camera and pause our audio. We learned how to share our screen, and we learned how to record. There is a chat icon up here, so if I wanted to chat, maybe somebody's having problems getting their microphone and camera on, we could just do a traditional chat there. It does also allow you to upload videos if you wanted to play a video for everyone that's in your online session. And then click back to the people icon to see the people. And by the way, the people in your Blue Jeans session would populate underneath your name. If you're the moderator, you're able to pause their audio. So if somebody's creating feedback or making noise and you're the moderator, you can click their microphones to mute them. They do have the ability to unmute when you do that. But that's a good way of making a clean session and troubleshooting who's making feedback loops or making noise. So let me know if you have any questions about Blue Jeans. To end the meeting, I can click the Leave Meeting, the red hang up button, or I can just close the browser. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it. It asks if I really want to leave, and I can kick everyone out too if I really want to do a clean ending and I was the moderator. So if I go ahead and leave that, notice I'm still have my tab open, so I can click my name. Let's see, my settings, and I can go back to my settings or my meetings. So I want to get you back to the home page. Here's where we started here, and notice there's a recording tab at the top, and you can see I have several recordings in here. There's the recording we just did, and I could click on that and download it, host it somewhere else like YouTube or My Video, Kaltura, maybe share it in M+ Box, but you'll eventually want to delete these recordings from here, because once I fill up my 5-hour recording time, I'm no longer going to have the ability to hit that red button and record. And by the way, it goes by the length of your meeting too. So if I made a 2-hour meeting, it wouldn't allow me to record it because that would make 5 hours. So let me know if that makes sense. As a best practice, when you're done with your meeting, download it, verify that it works, and delete it. And clicking delete here, the trash can, I can go ahead and delete that. So that's the basics for Blue Jeans and Hangouts. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to pop back to my slides and we'll take care of some more informations. Again, I just repeat that we want to unblock pop-ups for any web conferencing tools, and you're going to, sometimes people miss this alert, but in Chrome there's a little X up by the URL that you can click and allow or always allow. Some other information for us. BlueJeans is currently not available on Chromebooks. They hope to fix that soon, but it's a greater battle from BlueJeans and Google. You can connect through video conferencing equipment. That's a little more advanced, so we'll get into that. There is an international phone list if you have somebody calling, because they'll get charged local calls. So if somebody's calling internationally, they can call a local number and not get local toll calls for that session. Accessibility for BlueJeans, it generally works well with JAWS and voiceover screen readers. It will also work for sighted individuals who use keyboard commands to substitute for mouse functions. For the medical school or the hospital, so check with the UMHS Compliance Office or IRB for data and privacy concerns, and we have some helpful information there. But for now, medical school and hospital are discouraging the use of BlueJeans because of HIPAA or information that we don't want to be showing patient records and things on live sessions. But we don't want to completely discourage everyone else, because this is just a small use case, and we encourage people to follow up with MSIS if they have questions about that. Gene?
Edward says, BlueJeans tech support told me BlueJeans does not work with 64-bit browsers like Chrome 64-bit, that it will not display video in those browsers.
Okay, that's good to know. So he said tech support told them from BlueJeans that 64-bit Chrome browsers won't display video. So there are some caveats of how things are going. It is an HD video feed, but you may want to run a 32-bit browser or a different browser. And eventually they'll probably figure it out and get the 64-bit. So I have some helpful reference materials. The U of M BlueJeans page is here. There's an FAQ, some tech specs, obviously troubleshooting. You can always call for help. And the M+ Google page is a great reference page for Hangouts, and updates and announcements are always coming through. So I encourage you to get online and have some of these meetings and save everybody some time and parking headaches. And I appreciate your time today, and I'll look for you online. Thanks again.
All right, thank you, Mike. Let's see if I can get back to where I want to be. It's not showing up for me. Help. Ah, there it is. Right there. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Back to my PowerPoint. Stick around, don't leave quite yet. We're going to do later. All right, Mike's presentation slides. Here's the link right here, and some other useful resources. Presentation right here. You can click it right now. We're going to put this on the IT4U page and my link. It's also going to be on the Next Gen Michigan page. Everybody who's here today and our whole IT4U email list, we will send the link to the recording to you with resources. If you'd like to get announcements of upcoming IT4U episodes, that's an M Community group, and you'll get one. Thanks very much for your time. We're going to stop the recording now, but please stick around to give us some feedback.